I've talked to some players throughout the offseason who feel that they were unjustly denied an opportunity to the Super Bowl and basically said, hey, the Rams are now our new opponent. They are our new Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons have been their rival. Now it is the Rams. There's been bad blood simmering with these teams since the last time they met in the regular season when New Orleans won in New Orleans over the Rams. And conversely, Money, the Rams are tired of hearing that they did not deserve to go to the Super Bowl. They felt they made the plays in overtime. They made the defensive stand to get the ball back and kick the field goal. They feel, okay, Saints, keep on saying that you got denied. We deserve to be there. Let's settle it on the football field. So when they get between the lines, there's going to be a lot of smoke, a lot of big plays right here. And plus, the teams know what's at stake. That could be home field advantage down the line. And that's a situation that the Rams want to make sure that they get in Los Angeles.
You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.
What is up, Ramley? So we're going to be talking about Saints and Rams, and this game is going to be the best game of the week, bar none. I'm very excited. I think the Rams do play the Saints very well at home. We did start pretty rough last week, week 1. The Saints were actually losing to the Texans prior to like the last 40 seconds, and then they ended up coming up with a W. So I think both teams are heading in the right direction. Both fan bases should be happy with how the teams are performing, but there's things we need to improve. And one thing about the matchups with the Rams and Saints is, number one, to me, the biggest issue would be the Rams offensive line versus the Saints front seven. Because the Saints front seven is actually pretty good. I would put them as one of the best in the NFL. The Rams did a fairly good job versus a very difficult Carolina Panthers defensive line that has really good players on that side. We do have two basically rookies playing, but like I said, we've gotten younger, we've gotten faster, and hopefully they want this game more than the Saints do. And I know the Saints, they have in their head that they were cheated. Even though us Rams fans, we saw that as, well, we ended up going in overtime. We ended up beating you guys. Jared Goff out-clutched Drew Brees in the NFC Championship game. And they actually blew a 14-0 lead. And, the Rams ended up going to the Super Bowl. Even though we did score 3 points, the Rams went to the Super Bowl. Now, the Saints felt cheated. Well, the Rams now feel like they have to beat the Saints, and they're also hungry because people keep saying you can't beat them without that call. So I think it evens out, which who wants it more? It's about who puts it on the field. Now, for the Saints, they have to worry about Dante Fowler, Clay Matthews, and Aaron Donald. Last year, we had Ndamukong Suh, Aaron Donald, and Dante Fowler. We still have Michael Brockers, but he isn't like the best in the sense of as a pass rusher. He's a big body type of defensive end, defensive tackle. He can stop the run, but that's basically it. But one thing we do have in our advantage that the Saints don't have is they no longer have Ingram anymore. He ended up going to the Ravens, so now it's all Kamara, and I think they have Latavius Murray, but he's not as special as most people look at him to be. He's not as good as Ingram. So Alvin Kamara is a guy that we have to look out for, and he's a really good, and he's actually burnt us in every single game that we played the Saints, because it's hard to stop him. He's a great receiving running back. If you guys remember going back to 2017 when they went to the Coliseum, he actually ran like, a 60-yard touchdown down our throat when the Rams were struggling to stop the run. And then last season, he had 2 very good games against the Rams. And then he ended up, in the NFC Championship game, he ended up creating havoc when we had Corey Littleton covering him. And then we also had times where we had to put like Ndamukong Suh on the edge and kind of bump him to mess up his route because he was so good at one-on-ones against Corey Littleton and our slot receivers. So there's ways to get after Alvin Kamara and stop that. We also know that Michael Thomas is their best receiving threat and their number one. and he ended up leading the league in receptions last season. So that was basically Drew Brees' safety blanket, the same way that we look at Cooper Kupp for Jared Goff. And one thing about Michael Thomas is if you put Aqib Talib against Michael Thomas, he's not going to do shit. If you put him against Marcus Peters, then Marcus Peters will end up getting burnt. And luckily, both of our guys are healthy in week 1. Plus, we have an underrated superstar when it comes to John Johnson, and Eric Weddle will be back, hopefully. So the Rams look good matched up against the Saints. Now, the Saints, to me, have improved their offensive line. They ended up getting a center. I think he's from Mississippi State. I think his last name is McCoy or something like that. They actually have a fairly good offensive line where I think Drew Brees was sacked once or twice. And then the Saints ended up sacking Deshaun Watson like 6 or 7 times last game. So, like I say, we have to protect Goff. Goff actually had pretty decent protection. But in what we lacked in protection for Goff, we kind of messed up in the running game, even though the Rams ended up having like almost 200 yards, if I'm not mistaken, running the ball. There were many times where there were lots of tackles for loss. We were very rusty in the first half, and then in the second half, we started getting our mojo back. So hopefully Todd Gurley comes out strong. The Rams' offensive line is playing at a great level because we're going to need them to perform. To tell you the truth, to me, the Saints have the best defensive line in football when it comes to their 4 linemen because they're power-based. Where in what you would perceive most teams to have edge rushers and some speed and stuff like that, defensive tackles that are good with speed. The Saints mastered the fact that they have strong defensive linemen, 2 big defensive tackles, 2 strong defensive ends, and they have really good depth in that position. So there's ways to beat teams like that, but they're very good and they're very aware. They're very smart. That's a very smart and disciplined defense. So I'm going to give that credit to the Saints. The Rams just have to not make mistakes. Just pretend this is the NFC Championship game. You're not trying to turn the ball over. You're playing it safe. Throw shots down the field when they're presented. Go to Cooper Kupp. Go to Robert Woods, who's one of the best wide receivers, possession receivers in the NFL. Rely on Gurley as much as you need to, but Malcolm Brown is also there. So the Rams have answers. Now we just got to put it on the field. And I will be at that game. I will be recording the game from start to finish. I think, I'll take breaks because I can't put like 2 hours, 3 hours worth of footage. But I will get I have a pretty decent seat by the end zone where we can see the touchdowns being scored like last time where I had my Rams versus Vikings video. If you guys haven't seen it, make sure to go check it out. But this will be a packed game. Saints fans are already talking about invading our stadium, so you guys should totally go if you haven't already. There's some pretty good affordable seats still available. And the Rams do a good job. I actually feel like this will be like last year's Rams versus Chiefs game where we were actually awarded the best game in the whole season. In the whole NFL, the Rams and Chiefs ended up getting that. And that to me was the most epic game. Sean Payton is a damn offensive genius. Sean McVay is a damn offensive genius. These guys are going to be attacking each other. You think it's a game, but it's these guys' livelihoods at stake. It's these guys' egos. It's what they do, and they want to one-up each other. Sean McVay is, I think, 2-2 versus Sean Payton. So this to me is like Clash of the Titans, clash of offensive geniuses. Plus their defensive coordinator. I have no idea what his name is, but he's good. I have no clue what the guy's name is. But we got Wade Phillips, and Wade Phillips needs to prove himself that he's able to stop teams like these because he's had a rough time going against teams like this, but he's done a good job in the Super Bowl, and hopefully playing against the Patriots in the Super Bowl gives him an edge to how to stop a good offense like that. Because if we can stop the Patriots, they only scored 13 points. We only allowed them to score 13 points. That's a damn great defensive game if you ask me, especially against the Patriots. Now we got to do that to the Saints. And there's ways to do it. Double team or put Aqib Talib versus Michael Thomas. We have a great slot corner. We have two great linebackers. One to stop the run. The other one, Corey Littleton, makes plays like crazy. To me, it will probably be a guy that end up getting a forced fumble or interception this game as well, or maybe possibly blocking a punt, because he does everything great. He's one of the best. To me, one of the best linebackers in football. He's just not, his name isn't recognized like most other people because he went undrafted and he's kind of developed through the years. But the Rams have defensive players to battle. They have a great secondary. To me, will probably be the best secondary in the league this year. Great weapons to rush the passer. And then we have a great offensive team. This is probably one of the best teams we've ever had talent-wise. So we just got to go over there and whoop that Saints ass. And you know what? The Saints are going to come in with the same mentality, and they want to beat the Rams. So hopefully you guys watch the game. Hopefully you guys go to the stadium. To me, this will be the Rams' last year at the Coliseum. I will be going for the Saints-Rams game, the Rams 49ers, and also the Bears and Rams game at the Coliseum. And also, once we go to the playoffs, I'll be going to the divisional round of the playoffs, because the Rams will probably end up winning the division. If they do, and I'll go to that game as well. So I'm scheduled to go to 4 games and give you guys some at the game content. So make sure to like this video, leave a like, leave a share, and I do believe that the Rams will win 38-35, which will be one of the best games of this season. I would not be surprised if maybe one team whoops the other team by a lot, because what if the Rams want to, send a message to the rest of the league like, hey, we could beat this team, we whooped their ass. Or vice versa, the Saints were like, we whooped the Rams. So see, this shows that the only reason we won the Super Bowl is because of the no call. So it could go either way, but I do think the Rams win 38-35. Make sure, if you're a Rams fan, to go in that stadium, man, and troll the hell out of these Saints fans. I'm gonna take a Blue That hat. I custom made Blue That hat, where I have a blue hat with yellow like lettering, so it's the Rams color, and it's gonna say Blue That. And I'm gonna put the score. That's gonna be tight. I'm gonna take that with me. So let me know what you guys thought about the video. Leave a like, leave a share. Let me know who your MVP of the games are gonna be. I think Todd Gurley comes into this game, gets at least 100 yards. We're gonna have a 2-touchdown receiver, whether that's Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods. Hopefully Brandon Cooks comes to play, because sometimes you'll hear from Brandon Cooks, other times he goes silent. Like, he'll have 30 yards, and then in other games he'll have like 150 yards. It all depends on Brandon Cooks. It's easily, like, you'll know that Cooper Kupp will get like his 60, 70 yards, and then Robert Woods will get his 80 to 90 yards, like, easily. He's a fantastic blocker. Robert Woods is one of the best wide receivers. I do think that Jared Goff will probably end up turning over the ball at least once. He always does it in big games. It's nothing new, but he'll probably score 3 touchdowns. I think he'll score 3 passing touchdowns, and then we'll either run the rock down their throat, or screen passes, and we'll find ways to score, whether it's field goals, whether it's special teams. We'll find ways, and the Rams are a very well coached team, and hope for the best, man. Until next time, you guys, go Rams.